or whoever, what's the worst advice you ever received?
Well, the worst advice I've ever received is don't speak about everything. It seems cliche because sometimes a closed mouth is better to just, sometimes it's better to sit back and just take in and learn, right? But I also learned that allows you to deter mentally from what you have inside. When you're not focused on the why, or if you don't have a question for what someone's saying, it deters your mind, and you may adapt that way of thinking from the person who's giving the advice that may not be greatest advice. So speak up is, I guess, the opposite to that.
You know, actually, I think that's actually a very good point. I want to pivot off of that. I think one of the worst advices that I got from somebody was don't try to stick out too much. Don't try too hard. Try to conform in, because if you stick out too much, they gave the cliche example of the nail that sticks out is the one that gets hammered and stuff like that. But what I never liked that point of that, because at the same time, though, if you don't branch out, if you don't try to explore, if you don't try to actually get out of that comfort zone and just do something different, how do you grow? You know, that's one big point that I never understood. And so for me, that advice, just when they said like, oh, conform in. Sure, yeah, but then I'm going to live a life like everybody else. I'm not trying to be like everybody else, so why would I do that? That didn't make sense to me growing up. So.
What about you, Dylan? What's the worst advice you ever received, man?
I would say it has to be similar to what Z just said, is not asking questions, listening to what other people are telling you to do. I've been running my own life as an entrepreneur since my early 20s, so that's a long time ago for me. But as I watch other people come up and they're listening to what other people are telling them to do, and I'm not just talking about school or jobs, just in life, is the better questions you ask, really the higher quality of life you're going to have. Because if you're afraid to ask those questions, you may never find out what is around the corner. Just tonight, setting up our room, I was learning things from people that I never thought I'd learn things from, right? Just setting up this podcast. So I think just being open-minded, and that's something I think we all struggle with as men, especially like as you get older. You don't want to listen to other people. But the more that I listen, I might not do everything they say, but I'm more open-minded than I used to be.
Absolutely. I think the worst advice I've ever received personally is money can't buy happiness. And for me personally, the reason why I say that, I think the phrase should be money can't keep you happy if you're not happy, right? And because I feel pretty damn good when I go and buy me, some nice clothes, or when I worked hard and I can go buy my daughter something, or buy my wife something. I feel pretty good, right? I feel pretty happy. So I feel like, to me, that's probably the worst advice I've received, because I feel that money can buy you that happiness, right? Now, it's temporary. Obviously, you got to be, a good person inside, because money just makes you more of who you are at the end of the day. But I can go buy happiness.
I say money affords you options, right? Yeah. That's the big thing, right? And that's the biggest thing that we want in life, right? Is options.
Options, man. That's what it is.
Yeah, all money really does is just buy you more time for what you want to do.
Yeah. If spent wisely. Yeah.
Money isn't the only measure of success, but the day we lay our head down, that last day, I think if we're happy about what we did and we're proud of who we brought up, and whether it's our own family or other people in the community or what have you, I think that money affords you time, and without time, you got nothing.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, man. Just to leave off on this topic is, one thing that millionaires and billionaires pay for is time. If you gave them a price on time, people will go broke to get it. You know what I'm saying? So money, I think can buy you happiness, right? But let's just be real. Like, we are all happy when we buy something that we've been wanting to get, right? Mm-hmm. Like, if I told you right now, man, I give you money right now, you can get C8. You gonna be mad driving that, but you gonna be
I'm dead.
You gonna be frowning?
765.
Right. So I think money can't buy you happiness, but I think it's the mentality that, to me, when I heard it, I was like, yeah, I just thought as a kid, I was like, yeah, that just don't sit with me. But again, I think it should be rephrased, if money can't keep you happy if you're not happy. So that's the worst advice I've heard.
The whole thing's been rolling.
All right, bet. So
we're on no cut.
We'll start over here, man. What do you think some tips are for building? Because right now, relationships is like we talk about it all the time. We see it all the time, right? You got successful relationships that we don't talk a lot about, but it's a lot of failed relationships. What are some tips for building a healthy relationship?